Hi, I'm John Ray, and welcome to the Thriving Podcast. I'm your host and intuitive coach, dedicated to amplifying your intuition, transforming your mind, and igniting your inner magic to create a life you're obsessed with. 2 years ago, I was burnt out as fuck in a toxic relationship and a successful tech career that I just wasn't happy in anymore. I left it all behind with no plan, and now I'm running my own business, immersed in purpose and passion, happily married to my soulmate, and living out my dreams every single day. And if you're badass enough to be listening to this podcast, then you're already on the fast track to doing the same, babe. On this podcast, we'll dive into all things life, business, heart, mind, body, and soul, empowering you to up-level your life and embody your happiest, healthiest, and hottest self. It's time to make idealistic your new realistic, because you're not just here to survive, you're here to thrive. Hello, happy Thriving Thursday. Welcome back to the podcast. So today we have part 2, the Launch Success Secrets mini-series. So if you did not listen to part 1, definitely go back and listen to the last episode first, because I give you a little introduction around just like what this series is. And I also talked about the top 5 energetic launch keys, launch success secrets in the last episode. This is going to be the top 5 strategic tips, secrets, keys. I don't know why I'm like so bad with words. I don't know what to call them. And as I talked about in the last episode, I really believe that having an energetic foundation is so important, and you really want to address the energetic aspects first before moving on to the strategic. And also mastering the energetics first will make the strategic so much easier to implement, and also to make sure that you are implementing the strategy in a way that does feel intuitively aligned to you. So highly recommend going back to listen to the last episode first before jumping into this one, and not falling for the trap of, oh, I gotta learn the strategy. Yeah, energy, I'll get to that later. Okay, listen to the last episode, because you really want that energetic foundation. And then you can come back and learn these fun, simple, strategic tips and keys to launch success as well. So with that said, I won't waste any more time boring you with an introduction, because we already went over what this is in the last episode. So just to get right into it, I started to kind of touch on the energetic aspect of this in the last episode, but the first strategic key to launch success is just put yourself the fuck out there. I wanted to like say to fuck, like I want to, you know how like when I say TF, I say TF and AF like all the time. And it's like, I wish that I could pronounce TF in a way that wasn't just saying the words. Do you feel me? Like, I want to say like tufa. Like, can we just make that a thing? Can I just start saying tufa? I might, because I feel like that's really the vibe I want. Put yourself tufa out there. Okay. What I mean by this is really building your connections, networking, and growing your community. And this kind of like ties right into the number 5 from the last episode of being compatient, being patient and consistent. What portmanteau? Is that a portmanteau? Compatient, persistent, like combining consistent and patient to one. We're having fun with words today right off the bat. It's because I just recorded a 40-minute episode already. So my mouth is moving faster than my brain, or vice versa. So being patient and consistent in terms of not giving up, but also in terms of growing your community and consistently putting yourself out there. Okay. So from a strategic standpoint, I love to say like everyone is a potential client. All right. So remembering how important it is to talk about your business, to spread your message, you know, to every single person you meet, to everyone you talk to embody your message with everyone you talk to in every situation, every scenario, because you never know who could be a potential client. And it's like, somebody you're talking to, they're either anyone you're talking to at any given point in time, or anyone you're around, they're either a potential client, or someone they know is a potential client, or someone they know knows someone who is a potential client. Okay? It's like the 6 degrees of separation thing, or I don't even know if that's relevant. That's like 6 degrees. Yeah, I guess that works because that's the thing where it's like, oh, like you're separated from every celebrity by like minimum or maximum 6 degrees, or like 6 people. So it's like, just think about like if you're separated from even like Taylor freaking Swift by like maximum 6 connections, then your dream clients are all around, and your dream community and people that you're calling in are all around you. And they're actually so easy to connect with. So put yourself out there, even in little ways. So first of all, this looks like sharing your message to like anyone you're with, like telling people what you have going on. I fell for this early in my business where I wouldn't talk to people about my business when they asked me like what's new or what am I up to or how's work. I kind of would just like brush over it and not really talk to them about what I have going on. Because tying back to, again, what we talked about last episode, which is why the energetic foundation is so important, I didn't have the confidence, so I actually was like kind of hiding, and I didn't feel proud of like talking about what I had going on. But I would tell myself like, oh, they don't care. Like they're not a potential client, so they don't really need to know this. And it's like, you actually never know. Like, why are you speaking for them? You don't know. So put yourself out there, build those connections. You are networking 24/7, especially as an entrepreneur. I actually have a funny story on this. So one time I was at an ice cream shop in Washington, D.C. with my friend, and we ran into this guy, and it was super random. He kind of like just like butted in on our conversation and was like, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. Like we started talking, and he was nice, It turns out that he lives like in my city, and so that's kind of like why he overheard us talking and was like, what? And I was like, oh, that's so random, Then he followed me on Instagram, and he was like reacting to my stories and stuff, and I was kind of like, why is he reacting to my stuff? Like he's not an ideal client. Like he's not gonna want me to coach him on manifestation and like all this stuff, And actually, this was back when I was even doing like my classes. So it was even more so like he doesn't want to do pole dancing, or like he doesn't want to take sensual floor work or mindful mobility, And he responded to like a poll or something I posted. And first, at first I was like, oh, why am I like wasting my time talking to him? Like he's not a potential client. And then turns out he was like, what you're posting is like really cool, and I really think my wife would be into your stuff, and is there a way I can like buy a gift card to your studio for her? All right, so that's just a small example of how like someone that you may think like you don't see any way that they could contribute to your business, or like that they would contribute to the success of your launch or be interested in your work. It's like, first of all, maybe they are, and you don't know. Like he could have been interested in learning about manifestation for all I know, Second of all, you don't know who they know, or who they're connected to, or why they're interested in what you're doing and what you're talking about. So just like putting yourself out there, not discounting any connections that you make. And also, in terms of growing your community, is like the littlest things and the littlest actions can lead to clients and people that are in your community for life and really strong connections. Like I have followed people just because, somebody that I follow tagged them in a story, and I clicked on their profile and I was like, oh, they look cool, follow, and then actually like a girl in my program, this past one, that was how I found her, and she found me because I was just like, oh, she looks cool, I like her, follow. Didn't even message her or anything, like let it be so easy. And then she actually, like, when she saw I followed her, looked through my profile, was instantly like, oh my God, I love her. And I had the link to join my program in my bio, which is actually sneak peek of number 2. And she actually just joined without me even needing to like do any outreach or talk to her about it at all. Okay, so I just want to highlight like how easy it really can be for people to come into your world and for you to like make connections. Oh my God, I feel like my voice is starting to get like so raspy and like, hi. Like, yes, nurturing your community and like nurturing your relationships and like growing and building relationships over time is super important and super foundational to business. And that has been a big part of my business as well. But remembering that like every relationship has to start somewhere, and so the little things are so important. Relationships that I have nurtured over a long period of time. Another girl that was in my program was actually friends with my sister. And I was telling my family, like, share my stuff. It makes a difference, like if you feel called, if you feel like there's people that are like in your community or in your network that might be interested, share it out, because you never know who's watching. It does make a difference. And you might feel like even just asking a friend to share something or you sharing something out somewhere doesn't make a difference, but it does, because actually, like, someone that was friends with my sister that followed me through that is now like, I'm so close with her and she's done multiple of my programs. And so you just never know where people are going to come from. So like, I just gave you like, 4 examples of like, I followed someone, or like I was on an IG live with someone and I saw someone on the IG live and I was like, let me check out their profile. They look cool, follow. Like it doesn't have to be like this like hard, forceful outreach. Again, like you guys know my approach to strategy is like, keep it simple, let it be easy, and yes, be strategic, but it doesn't have to feel forced. So like just remembering how impactful these simple actions can be and literally just putting yourself out there in every situation, every scenario, remembering that everyone is a potential client or knows a potential client. Like follow people that seem cool. Follow people that seem like they might be a client for you. You can DM them if you want to, but you don't have to do like when I first started out, I was with a coach that was teaching the like 3-2-1 outreach, like, follow a bunch of people and then like 3 of their posts and then leave a comment and message. Like we're done with that. I think we're over that. It's funny because people talk about all the time, like every strategy works but it's just a matter of finding the strategy that's aligned to you, which I 100% agree with. But it's funny because I feel like everyone I hear talking about it uses like the cold outreach and the cold DMing as an example of like, that works, but it's not aligned for me. And it's just funny because I'm like, who is that aligned for? Like, who does that feel good to? Like, yes, it works, but I don't know. It's just hard for me to like really believe that actually feels fun to anybody. But all that to say, it doesn't have to be like this forced thing. You don't have to necessarily go out of your way to make a connection and build your network. And, I feel like when it comes to networking in general, like, when I hear the word networking, I think like, corporate networking events and like a happy hour that's like boring and you're making small talk with everyone. And it's like networking can actually just be fun and simple and fun and fresh and easy like that. It can just be like following someone that looks cool. It can just be like sending a message to someone that followed you and just being like, hey, like, how'd you find me? So happy to have you here. It can just be like sharing your post out, like it can be like having your friends and family share your post out. It can be like being in a totally different setting where you think people might not be interested in your business at all, but it maybe comes up and you just are honest and open about it, right? Or it could be somebody asking you, what's going on in your business? And instead of just saying, it's good, yeah, like actually telling them about what you're offering and actually saying maybe like, yes, if you know anyone that might be into that, send them my way. Just don't underestimate, don't speak for other people. Put yourself out there and just be authentic and open. And again, that's why the confidence is so important to have as that underlying foundation, because that's what really allows you to put yourself out there and have that belief in yourself and to not feel awkward doing that. But yeah, that's the number one strategic tip is like, build connections, build relationships, put yourself out there, tell people about your program, tell people about what you have going on, especially if you're an online business or you have a digital product. First of all, baby step is like, be fully open online, like if you're posting on Instagram, like share to Facebook, even though you have people from high school and you have friends and family on there, like make sure that you are reaching as many people as possible. You want to reach people, right? Reaching people is how you get people into your community. So it's like, what are all the ways that I can actually reach people so easily, especially when you're starting out in business? You don't even realize how many people are already in your field. Like when I started sharing my stuff to Facebook, I started getting messages from people that like old coworkers and like old neighbors, like people I would have no idea are watching my stuff or would care about what I'm saying at all, sending me literally random messages that are just like, thank you so much. You're so inspiring to me. I love watching you like do your thing and I love your message and keep being you and spreading this positive energy and your stories make my day and all this stuff that I would have like never known or expected that these people were actually like getting something from my message. And you just never know who it's going to reach. And we could have a whole other episode about, the fear around that, around like, fear of being seen and judgment from the people from high school and all that. I know it's so common to come up, especially early on in your business. But yeah, number one strategic tip is like, and honestly, probably like the most important one is like, just put yourself out there and spread your message and tell people about what you're offering, especially if you're in the middle of a launch. And don't underestimate the impact of those little actions. All right, so number two, hype it up, hype it to up. Okay, that sounds dumb. It sounds dumb when I try to say it naturally, but it's like hype it the F up. Maybe that's what I want to say. I just feel like it's not the same vibe when you actually say the word. Hype it the F up. I'm going to go with that. So I know I talked about be hyped up about it, but there's also a difference in being hyped and actually hyping it up. Like hype your offer up, hype your launch up, like talk the shit up about it, like not just spread the word, but like be excited about it. And as I'm saying this, I feel like this is basically just like an overlap of be hyped the F up about it and put yourself out there and spread the word. But really what I'm more saying is like the tease. And this is honestly, again, like I shouted out my coach in her amazing launch course, Full Throttle, in the last episode, because I have a lot of my foundational knowledge of launching to credit to her. But she talks a lot about this idea of like foreplay and like teasing your offer. And that was game changing for me, honestly. So it's like hype your offer up, tease it, like get people excited about it. I did this with my podcast launch also, and it made such a difference. I was teasing my podcast for honestly months on and off. That's partially because my launch was like delayed. I ended up putting it out later than I was expecting to. But I was like teasing the thumbnail, the cover art, like blurring it less and less every day. I was like, guess what it's going to be called? Like guess what the first episode's going to be on, and like counting down. And that makes a huge difference when you are building the hype. Think about, again, Taylor Swift. You guys know I'm a Swiftie. And even if you're not a Swiftie, that she is a marketing genius, and what is like one of the things she does best is she hypes the F up out of her albums and her releases and anything she has going on. She drops hints. She has everyone like, oh my God, like what is she going to release? What is happening? Like trying to put together the clues, so like do that, have fun, with your launch and like get people excited, like build the hype, tease it, and like don't just like drop it on them and be like, hey, I have this offer, come buy it, but like really get people excited about it, And so this can look like just, like while you're planning it out, like post a picture of like your screen and like blur it and be like, oh, like what am I working on? Exciting things coming soon, or like asking people to like help you plan it, or like, what do you think I have coming up? I actually do this sometimes with podcast episodes. I'm literally revealing a secret to you guys right now. This is pretty juicy stuff that I'm spilling right now. I'm revealing my secrets of the trade. These really are the saucy secrets, but I'll post like, what do you guys want to see coming up on the podcast? And normally it's either one, I already am planning on doing all of those things. I'm just deciding what I'm going to release first. Two, I'm building subconscious hype, because by you seeing all those options, you're like, oh, I want to see that. Like, it's almost like you didn't even realize you needed it, or you didn't even realize you wanted it, Or three, it might actually just be a poll of like, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. And then like, let me just see what people are voting on. So like that's another example of like a way you can like build hype. And yeah, just like basically start talking about it as soon as possible. You can even bring this to like launching a business in general. Is like the first thing I always say is like, start telling people about your business. Again, to tie it back to the previous, is like, start telling people about your business even before you've launched it, even before you've officially started it, even before you have an offer. Start telling people like, oh my God, I'm going to start this business and I'm so freaking excited about it. And it's going to be this and this and this. I don't even know what it's going to be, but I'm really excited. Like, start telling everyone how excited you are about your business, or how excited you are about this product or this offer or this podcast or what you're doing or what you're what you're creating or what you're going to create. And again, that not only will build hype and get people excited and get the word spread, but it will also help illuminate, like where you feel resistance to that and where you need to actually work on your confidence before you actually even get into the launch of the thing. So I separate these out, energetic and strategic, but at the end of the day, there's so much overlap, right? And like they all play into each other. So of course there's going to be overlap, but yeah, basically like tease it, hype it up, get people excited before you even open the doors so that they know what to expect. I mean, think about literally, I feel like music is just a really good example to connect this to, because think about like literally any musical artist. Have you ever seen it? I mean, it has happened. Taylor did do this with Folklore, I feel like. Although I still feel like she even teased that, or Evermore maybe. But I feel like she still even did tease that a bit. But like most artists, like have you ever seen an artist just like drop an entire album with like no pre anything? No, like they'll have a single or they'll like be teasing it and this and that, and then they'll announce it, And like same with the tour. So it's like basically hype up your offer before, during, and even after, right? Just throughout the entire process, before you open the doors, while you're actually launching it and offering it, like again, you may not be following like a typical launching protocol, but like whatever it is you're offering, whether, I'm thinking about all the entrepreneurs I know in my life, like whether you have like a brick and mortar studio and you're just like offering classes, like hype those classes up, baby. Like, why are they so epic? Like let people know, or if you have a special deal coming, like don't just drop the deal that day, like lead up to it, like let people know, like, oh my God, special secret surprise coming, like juicy deal coming, like if you've been had your eye on this, you're gonna really want to look out. Or like, if you're doing like a Black Friday deal or whatever, it's like let them know ahead of time that there is something to look forward to, because trust me, that makes a difference. So number 2, hype it the F up. Number 3 is make it irresistible to join. Basically, make your offer irresistible. And this one and the next one are very strategic, and they kind of like, they remind me of Atomic Habits. You guys know I talk about Atomic Habits all the time. It's literally my Bible, but he talks about, when you're trying to build a habit, is like the 4 laws of habit building or whatever. I forgot exactly, but it's like make it attractive, make it easy, whatever. Basically like make it obvious. That's one. I don't have it memorized. But it's basically like make it obvious for them to join, And my next tip, number 4, kind of goes hand in hand with this, which is make it easy to join, but it's a little bit different. But basically like I'm going to like go grab my book and look up what the 4 what the 4 tricks are. Okay, what does he have? The 4 laws of habit change. Number 1 is make it obvious. Number 2 is make it attractive. Number 3 is make it easy. And number 4 is make it satisfying. So actually, we're going to be covering all of these, coincidentally or not so coincidentally. So make it obvious and make it attractive is kind of what I'm talking about here with number 3. And then number 4 is make it easy, and make it satisfying is going to be more what we talk about in part 3 of this series. But when I say make it irresistible, I mean like make the offer juicy, like offer bonuses, offer like VIP options, like make it sound exciting to them, offer early bird, like discounts, offer pre-sale deals, like don't just be like, hey, here it is, buy it, like make it sound exciting, make it enticing. You guys know, like with Black Friday, right? Like Black Friday, people just like raise their prices. Most people, they like raise everything and just like discount. And like, you're not actually getting that much of a sale. Most sales actually, like you're not actually getting that much of a sale with discounts and stuff like that. Like it's built in basically to the projections, but you feel like you're getting a deal. And so you're more likely to buy. So it's the same thing. Like with your offers, it's like just make it feel and seem enticing and appealing to your community. Like make it sound exciting instead of just being like, hey, listen to my new podcast episode, like get them excited. Like why do they want to listen? And like what are they getting out of it? So like speak to the benefits they're getting, but also it's like, it's like instead of like, hey, come take a class with me or come join my program, it's like, well, like, why should I just do that? I could do that any day. Like there's no urgency around it. There's no excitement around it. There's nothing special about it. But if you're like, hey, if you like join my class in the next 24 hours, then you get your next one free. Or hey, like if you join on this early bird, then you get a bonus one-on-one session with me. Or hey, if you do this VIP upgrade, then you actually get a one-on-one session for like a quarter of the price of what you would normally get it for. Like, really highlight the value that you're giving them. And like, again, be strategic about the way you present your offer and what you're actually giving them. Like, I'm not saying like be fake and like make up discounts, but I'm saying like genuinely, like, what would make this offer so exciting and obvious and irresistible for them to join? Like, think about it on the flip side, like when somebody offers you something, like if somebody is like offering you whatever, like let's just use like a lemonade stand for a basic example. Like if somebody is offering you lemonade and like you're just walking by and they're like, hey, buy lemonade. You're like, whatever. Like, why would I buy? Why would I, unless you're like super thirsty, then maybe you'll like buy it just with no other incentive. But if you're just kind of thirsty, but you're not like dying for lemonade, you're like, I'm good, But if they're then like, oh, if you buy lemonade right now, then I'll throw in this free chocolate chip cookie, or like buy one and then like your friend gets one free or whatever it is, like you're automatically like, oh, well, now I feel like I'm like getting something out of it. And the thing is, obviously, there's so much value in the base offer. Like, yes, the lemonade is like still really freaking tasty. Like, yes, your class is amazing. Your course is amazing. Like whatever you're offering is amazing, but it's just like the way our brain works. Like, we're really just playing with the subconscious here of like, how can it be a win-win situation? Like how can I, pump it up even more to where it's like, oh my God, now I get lemonade and a free cookie, or now I get 2 lemonades where before I was only getting one. And it's automatically like changing your perspective on how you're viewing it. And so it's like, how can you make your offer irresistible? And we could go so much deeper into like really specifically how to do this. This is the kind of stuff that like we'll talk about in the mastermind, where like I'll be able to give you more direct support on this, because again, there's only so much I can like give you in a vague sense, because it's going to be really individual to how you really integrate this for your own business and each individual offer too, and each individual launch. But really just remembering like, how can I make it irresistible and make it so obvious for them to join and make it so attractive for them to join that it's like, it's just a no-brainer. Like, why would I say no? So that's number 3. I told you guys I was going to fly through these strategy ones because the strategy I just feel like is just like, bam, that's it. That's the strategy. And like, obviously I feel way more passionate about the energy, but the strategy is important and it does make a difference. So I'm actually having fun talking about this because I'm really realizing also like how fun, like the strategy is fun to talk about. When I first got into business, and I started learning about really like the basics of business, it was really kind of fun for me to learn like, oh, like this is how a business works. And it's actually fun because once you learn the strategy, it's like, oh, dang, it really is so simple. Like the rules of business do not change. So it's actually really fun right now to talk about this and like to help remind you guys like how simple it really is and how basic the strategy really can be. Because again, like I just showed you, it's basically like the rules of habit change. It's just like, how does the brain work? It's like relationships. How do they work? It's just basic. But anyway, that's cool because my voice is getting tired. So I'm glad this is a quick episode. What are we even at? Oh, we're 30 minutes in. Me, clown face. I'm that clown meme right now. I'm literally like, I'm actually laughing. I'm like, oh, this episode is so quick. I thought we were literally like 15 minutes. We're at like 30 minutes. This is going to be like basically the same length as the other episode. That's actually hilarious. All right. Well, just goes to show how much fun I actually have talking about strategy. So that's a fun learning moment for me because I was like, I'm going to like go through strategy fast because I really like talking about energy, but actually strategy is fun to talk about because I haven't talked about it before. And maybe that's it. Like it feels fun and fresh because I'm talking about energy so much because it's so important, but also it's fun to talk about new stuff. So anyway, number 4, I already kind of told you, is make it easy. So what I mean by this is not just making it easy, like number 3 was kind of make it easy, like perceptually, that's not a word. Like make it easy mentally, like make it an easy decision basically. Like number 3 was basically make it irresistible, make it attractive, make it obvious, make it an easy decision. But this one is literally like make it easy, like lower the barriers to entry as much as possible. All right. So this is like, you'll see people saying like click the link in my bio or like DM me this or whatever. It's like, how can I make this literally as easy as possible and give them as many ways as possible to actually join my thing or to access my product or to come to my class? Like if they have to like go search through a website to like find out how to sign up, or if they go to a website and it's not like super freaking clear and obvious, like there's not a big ass button right on the front that's like, join here, click this, like people are gonna ditch, they're gonna bail if it's not, they have to like really, really want it to actually go through those steps, right? So like remove as many barriers to entry as you can. Again, coming back to Atomic Habits, I think this is in Atomic Habits, like he has that 20-second rule where it's like, if it's going to take you more than 20 seconds to do something, then you're actually not going to do it, right? So it's like the difference of like having your guitar in the closet versus having your guitar right next to your desk. I literally have my guitar right next to my desk for this reason, because I'm not going to actually go into the closet to take it out to play it, even though realistically it's like 20 more seconds of my life. When it's right here in front of me, again, it's easy, it's obvious, it's easy, it's obvious, it's attractive. So I'm way more likely to pick it up. And it's the same for your clients in your community and anyone that you are trying to get to join your thing. If they have to like click out of this and like go search for a link and do this and that, like maybe they're like, too much work, not worth it. If I could just like click something right here, just leave a comment right here, then maybe I would. Because like that effort feels like an even exchange for me, but like actually it's literally, I don't feel like taking the extra 5 seconds of effort to do that thing. And I will say like maybe you want to be more selective, and that can be a choice, like for example, if you are really trying to call in a very dedicated high caliber client, maybe you do want to like add a little bit of a barrier to like really test, like, okay, how invested are you? Like maybe you want to have an application or something like that. But especially if it's like a freebie or something that you really just like are trying to get as many people, to join or interested as possible, or like to get people into your DMs or whatever it is make it as easy as possible for them. So like for me, I find the easiest ways are to just like let them leave a comment on wherever you're posting about, if it's like a piece of content, because even if you say like, send me a DM, that's actually an extra layer of a barrier of entry for them, because it's easier for them to just leave a comment as opposed to like going to message you. Also, it may feel a little like more disconnected, like they may feel a little more pressure around DMing you. So maybe like they feel like it's more accessible to just leave a comment, like they're not directly messaging you, and then you can DM them after, right? If they're on your stories, like I say, like swipe up and reply to this story, like because that's the easiest action to take when they're right there. Or sometimes I'll even be just like slide this slide or vote on this poll, right? Like how can you literally take as much effort out of it as possible for them? And a big part of this too is do all of it, right? Like have all 3, all 4. So like what I do, if I really am trying to like, especially with like the podcast, right? It's like, I just want to get it out there and I want to like help as many people access it as possible. It's like, I'll be like, comment on this or DM me. I'll put a button to DM me and I'll post it on my story and I'll be like, reply with this word or like vote on this link, slide this thing. And I'll put a link in my bio, right? So it's like, I want there to be ample ways for them to access this thing. And I don't want them to have to spend another second of thinking, how do I join this? Like I don't want to just post about it and not have a call to action, because that's a disservice to them, because if they are interested, now it's not super easy and obvious for them of how do I actually join this and become a part of this, So make it easy and make it so available to them. So like have all of those options open. Again, if you have a website, again, depending like if you're on social, if you're on website or whatever, like your mode is, even if you're like just a flyer, like have a big phone number on the flyer to call, or like have a big website clear that they can go to and tell them exactly what to do. Like it should be so easy for them to find and to find the information that they want and to join and to do whatever it is you want them to do, basically. Right? It's like, if you ever think about like, if you're asking someone for a favor, it's like if you're say you're going on vacation and you're asking somebody to like come feed your cats for you, right? Like you're probably going to like write out the specific directions. You're going to make sure it's really easy for them to find the cat food and everything, because like they're way more likely to like do it and to do it again in the future, especially if you make it as easy as possible for them, right? Because you're asking a favor of them, like you want something of them. And it's not like they're not getting value out of it. It's not like with your, clients or community and your business, or like you might be paying the person that's doing it. But like you still want to make it as easy as possible for them because they're doing you a favor. If like everything's super difficult for them, they're really going to like be less inclined to want to do it again in the future. Or they might like come and be like, all right, fuck this. I can't find the cat food. I've been searching for 15 minutes. I have to go. And then your cat doesn't get fed, right? So that's kind of like more equivalent. So just make it so easy. And again, have all the options, because like I had these direct call to actions, but I also specifically made sure, I mentioned this in my money manifesting episode, to have the link available to join directly in my bio, so that like I didn't even need to be available. If someone really wanted to join, they had a way to join and access immediately if they wanted to. So just like removing as many barriers to entry as possible, make it easy to join. All right, that's number 4. My voice is getting so rasped. Last one, last strategic key, I'm out of water, is speak their language. So speak the language of the person you are trying to reach, of the person, of your ideal client, of the person that will benefit from your offer, of the person that you want to consume your content, that you want to join your offer, that you want to come to your studio, to your space, to your class, that you want to take your course, that you want to be listening to your podcast, whatever it is. Speak their language. And when it comes to messaging, again, you can get very overthinking and strategic with this. And I'm not going to dive super specifically into like details of how to do this and messaging in this episode, because that is like a whole other topic. But what I will say is, again, number 1, coming back to the energetic foundation, when you are aligned with your message and you are embodying your message, the messaging will come so much more easily. I swear, like it can feel so difficult to be specific with your messaging, but that is primarily because you are actually just afraid to commit to talking to this one person or to talking about this one thing that you want to talk about. It could also be because you're actually not confident. Again, coming back to that confidence, it's the key of everything. Could be you're actually not confident about the results you're providing, or maybe you don't even know the results you're exactly providing, right? Coming back to that intuitive clarity, tapping into intuition is like being so clear on what exactly are you offering and what does this mean to them and what do they want? A lot of the time we can get caught up in like the benefits that we see and that we know, and we're not actually thinking about it from their perspective of like, who are we trying to reach right now? Like, what are their problems? Like, what do they want? And also just really painting the picture even more than that, and like telling a story. All right. Again, basics of business, storytelling is like the key of everything. Storytelling is like the foundation of like humanity, like our brains, we're freaking obsessed with story. That's what brings up the most emotion in us. So make sure you are telling a story that is in the language of the people you're trying to talk to and trying to reach, like you want to communicate with them energetically and tangibly, I guess. Is that like the other word that I would use there? Really just paint the picture. It's honestly like speaking their language, yes, but like paint the picture of what they're gaining from this. So it's like, again, there's so many examples I could give of this, but no matter what field you're in or what your offer is or what industry you're in, like if you're in coaching, it's like, don't tell them about the process. Don't tell them about the thing. Tell them what they're getting from it. Paint the picture of what their life will look like after taking your course or taking your coaching program, right? Or what are they going to get from listening to your podcast episode? Like how is this literally going to change their life, right? If I just like say, oh, hey, I'm going to teach you about marketing. Like, yeah, maybe there's someone that's like really deep in biz and they're like, oh, that's what I need to know. I need to learn about marketing. But for a lot of people, they're not even necessarily making that connection to like, oh, learning about marketing actually means like my business is going to blow up. Or like actually learning these tips, is going to allow me to launch with confidence and ease and to feel flowy and alive in my business, and that is actually going to allow me to like feel at peace every day and not feel so stressed and overwhelmed and like procrastinate things and like, not snap at my family members because I'm so stressed because I'm actually so behind at work, like what impact is this really going to make? And like, what is the vision that they have that you are helping them bring to life? And I wanted to make sure I touched on this because I did have one reel that I posted. And like I told you guys, I didn't really go too hard with the messaging or the strategy with this launch. I did have strategy, absolutely. Everything that I've talked about so far in this episode, I integrated into this launch. But for the most part, especially with the messaging specifically, I was like kind of chill with it. I was just like, really let it be a vibe and trust that people will just come that are meant for it and really trusting that I would magnetize them. And that's what happened. But I will say I did post one reel where I decided like it just felt like I wanted to really just like paint the picture in this reel. It was to the Match My Freak sound. And so I really was like, all right, what is my freak? Like, who am I calling in? Like, what do they want? What is their freak? And I kind of really just let myself like sit with it. And I was like, what am I embodying? What am I living right now? Guys, I feel like my voice is so hoarse and raspy and like high pitched right now. I'm so sorry if it's like hard to listen to, but I don't feel like getting up to get water and this episode's almost over. If you listen to the episode that I repurposed from Hot Girl CEO Summer, then you're used to this already because my voice was super high pitched in that too because I was walking and out of breath. And I really just let myself kind of like reflect on like, okay, like where am I now and where was I? Like how did I feel before and how do I feel now? That I really want like my community to know and I really like is really going to speak to my ideal client. And so I'm just going to read this reel to you. It was a Pav reel. And I said, Pav, you've been trying to succeed as an online coach or creator by posting about your offer on your stories every day and making status quo content from the 100 best hook ideas you saw on your Explore page. But your DMs are still crickets, you're stressing daily behind the scenes, and you're wondering if you're even cut out for entrepreneurship at all. Then you find my page and you learn that the key to business success is actually listening to your body over your brain. You learn how to market and sell intuitively. You start pumping out juicy AF content that you giggle and obsess over. Your confidence and momentum skyrockets. Your DMs start popping off and you're so excited to get up and work that you feel like you started a whole new business. Okay, so just to give you an example of what I mean by painting the picture and telling the story, because that was my story. I took specific experiences and feelings that I had earlier in my business before I learned and integrated and embodied everything that I am now teaching and offering. And I showed, and this is what it got me. And this is literally tangibly what's happening in my 3D and what I'm experiencing on a day-to-day. And one girl that joined my program, she literally just commented on that reel and wanted in on my program and was like, that just spoke to me so much. Like, I want to feel that way in my business. So speaking the language of the person you're trying to reach is so, so powerful. And again, I know that this can be a really complicated thing to get the hang of. I know it took me a while to get the hang of it. I will say again, a big part of me like not getting the hang of it was because truly I just didn't have the intuitive clarity and I really wasn't super aligned with my message, and it became so much more effortless for me once I was. But yeah, it is something that it kind of takes a bit to get used to. Again, it's something that I feel like direct support is really helpful for. So that is something that also will be able to dive deeper into in the mastermind. But at the end of the day, just like, when you're talking about your stuff, it's like, am I painting the picture for them? Again, like even like coming back to like when I was advertising my classes, it's like, don't just tell them like, hey, come take a class. It's like, well, what are they going to get from taking the class? Like, why do they care? So when I was promoting my mindful mobility classes, I would be like, do you really feel like you just like need like a second for yourself? Or like, if you've been feeling stressed all day, like come take an hour for yourself, like come take 30 minutes to get into your body. I would post about like the benefits of getting into your body, So it's like just taking it a step further from just being like, hey, buy this thing. Again, tying it like back to the Better Call Saul example of like, he would sell those cell phones, and he wasn't just like, hey, need a phone? Like he made a story around it. he identified his ideal client and he was like, this is why this phone is actually so important for your literal goals and solves your specific problems. So that's the fifth piece. The fifth strategic key is tell the story, paint the picture, and speak their language. All right, my voice is getting so hoarse, so I'm gonna wrap this up. It's hilarious that I thought this episode was shorter than the last one, and it's actually longer. Oh my God, time is an illusion. All right, anyway, thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. I really feel like the combination of these last 2 episodes is really going to blow your business and your launching just like the F up. And we do have a part 3 coming. I need to take a break, give my voice a little break and take some water before I record that. But that is going to be all about the actual delivery of your offer or, your product or whatever. And really not only how to, continue the energy of your launch and continue, bringing all the strategy in through the delivery of the offer, but actually how that turns into the pre-launch of your next offer and how to really be even strategic with the delivery and also how to stay tapped into your intuition throughout that as well to kind of cap off this 3-part launching success secret series, which I'm super excited about. This is amazing. And I'm really, really excited for this mastermind. I'm so amped. So if you want more deets on the mastermind, again, I talked about last episode, but I actually don't think I told you the name in the last episode. So it is called CEO Frequency, and it is all about aligning to the frequency that you need to align to manifest all the success in your business. Of course, we focus a lot on energetics. We also focus on simple strategy. And as you know, my forte is tapping into intuition, leading from intuition and desire, and then filtering that through a strategic lens. And it's really just for anyone that not only was ready to just go all in on your business and really just like stop half-assing your growth and just own your gifts and go all in on your vision, but anyone who is like, I'm ready and I'm committed, but it just feels forced, or I just want more fun. I want more flow. I want to feel alive. I want to feel the magic. I want my business to feel sparkly AF. Like that's really what I want to help bring to you. And what I really want to is for you to feel confident in your business. As you could tell, I keep like threading this theme of confidence, and it's not even purposeful. It just keeps coming up because that is seriously the key. And my goal is to help you feel so confident and clear in what you're doing and where you're going and how you're getting there that your business just blows up and just you amplify your impact and your income so much because you are doing what is naturally aligned and you have that confident foundation. So with that said, like I mentioned in the last episode, I do have some limited spots available for special pre-sale deals on this mastermind through the end of the month. So, or until they fill up, whichever comes first. So if you are interested in learning more about that, just send me a DM. We'll see if you're a good fit. We can chat about more about the deal and what that entails. Can't wait to hear what you thought about the episode. Definitely reach out to me and let me know your takeaways. If you know anyone that you think this would be beneficial to or would provide value to, then I so appreciate you sharing it with them, sharing it on your story, sharing it with anyone like we talked about. And tip number 1, those little shares go a long way. So if you want to even just support me and support the podcast, that would mean the world. If you haven't already, if you like the episode, leave a rate and a review. That would make my day. I love you so much. Mwah. Don't forget to stop and take a deep breath and smile. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.